This is the Silicon Graphics O2, an iconic machine used in the visual effects and games industry in the mid to late 90s. And on this video, we're going to turn on this beautiful machine and run the legendary compositing software Media Illusion. So join me, let's go back 30 years to 1996 when computers were cool and looked like this. My name is Hugues and welcome to Hugo's Desk. I love old cameras and retro computers. And back in the 90s, there was a name synonymous with high-end computing, visual effects, filmmaking, and video games. That name was Silicon Graphics. And oh man, I wish I had the money for an SGI machine. It was my dream computer. But today, that dream comes true. I get to try a Silicon Graphics O2 from 1996. In fact, this is the first video of a series of videos I'm dedicating to retro visual effects, which includes some legendary computers and software from my personal collection, and also a few loans from colleagues and friends of the channel. First off, a quick shout out to Andy Tusabe, an amazing senior compositor who has worked in the film and television industry for nearly 3 decades. Andy lent me this amazing machine with all its software still running. It's a proper time capsule for how we did visual effects in the early 2000s. If it wasn't for Andy, I wouldn't have had this experience. So thank you so much, Andy. I was 15 years old when I first saw a Silicon Graphics computer in Jurassic Park. I had no idea what it was, but it looked amazing compared to anything I've seen until then. I mean, I'm from Portugal, so in the early 90s, the most advanced computer graphics was the Amiga 500, and for video, the Amiga 2000 with the video toaster. That video is coming, believe me. Of course, at the time, I couldn't even afford an Amiga, let alone a Silicon Graphics. Well, I didn't even know what an SGI was. As I got more and more into visual effects and filmmaking, not only did I start reading more about these iconic machines, but I also started seeing them in movies all the time. As I started reading Cinefex, I realized that SGIs were a pivotal part of helping artists create some of the most iconic CGI and VFX of all times. Like The Abyss, Gladiator, Toy Story, Star Wars Episode 1, The Matrix, Twister, Starship Troopers, Hello Man, Terminator 2, Jurassic Park, and The Perfect Storm, to name a few. Speaking of The Perfect Storm, would you like to have your own Perfect Storm VFX shot? Well, CGTrader has you covered. You can find all the CG assets you need, including fishing boats, large vessels, water, oceans, and sea storms. CGTrader has been around for 12 years and has been trusted by the VFX community because of its large variety of high-quality assets. I myself and my team have used CGTrader for years, on many projects ranging from game cinematics, short films, to commercials. I've always been truly impressed by the quality of their 3D models. Whatever your project needs, CGTrader has over 3 million assets built by professionals with large community of serious creators, always uploading production-ready and high-quality models. You can find characters, creatures, environments, vehicles, and so much more. All filtered by animated, rigged, low-poly, and PBR-ready. And the best part, you can check everything before spending any money. And you can use code HUGO10 at checkout for 10% discount on all items, including the ones on sale. So the next time you need a 3D model for your project, go to CGTrader, the marketplace visual effects artists actually use. Now back to the video. Back in the 90s and early 2000s, if a film had CGI or VFX, an SGI machine was most likely used by the incredible artists of that time. And it wasn't only films. SGI machines were also such an important tool for video game artists in creating legendary games like Super Mario 64, Quake, GoldenEye, Virtua Fighter, Virtual Racing, Crash Bandicoot, Donkey Kong, and Killer Instinct, to just name a few. Almost 30 years later, I finally got to use a silicon graphics machine. In fact, this machine, the SGI O2, is 30 years old this October. So this video is even more relevant to celebrate this awesome computer. So happy birthday, O2! Happy birthday to you. Now, as you know, I'm a VFX artist, compositor, and editor by trade. So I had to check the compositing and editing packages from the time. This means compositing in Media Illusion, painting in Matador, and editing in Premiere. And I'm not talking about Premiere CS or Premiere 2020. No, this is like Premiere 4. This is a really old version. I never used an IRIX machine before, so just booting it up was so exciting. Just listen to that sound. First of all, the funny thing about all of this is that it takes forever to even turn on, so I'm always very scared about it. So it takes several minutes to come up. Of course, we're talking about really old hard drives for this. But yeah, so it took like 5 minutes to even get to the shell. Managed to get logged in with it, and I'm really grateful that this machine actually has Illusion installed. Avid Illusion, which is a software I never used back then. Just like everything, I clicked around, read the manual, felt more and more comfortable, to the point that I could even now install and uninstall software. And I think I know my way around an IRIX. Of course, don't ask me to do anything fancy. I'm not going to open any shells anytime soon. I must say, for 1996, this operating system is so advanced. It must have felt so futuristic at the time. It has so much stuff that is pre-installed. I mean, just look at those crazy screensavers. And the demos were incredible. There's like morphing demos, there are 3D demos, reflection demos. It's pretty cool. There's like Doom as a demo, there's OpenGL. It's snappy, it's fast, it's stable. It has like a CD player, it has music players, it has a music editor, it has video input, video output. It even has a webcam to do video conferences in 1996. The first thing I tried was to go to the internet. I couldn't get it to work to load a page. It's not going to go far, since most websites are completely incompatible with IRIX. I mean, it took me a while, a couple of restarts. So I tried to connect to my remote work station as well, because I wanted to feed some footage to it. So here's me actually loading files into the Silicon Graphic directly from my Mac Pro. Now, on the Mac Pro, if anyone ever wants to try something like this, basically I use this software. It's called NFS Manager. And that kind of led to this journey, because now I can load files. And I ended up loading a JPEG. This footage is all speed up. So that's one frame of a JPEG that I managed to load from my Mac Pro. From there, it kind of was quite easy for me to go to Nuke, and just to test this out, really wanted to bring in footage so that I can start trying compositing with Illusion. I rendered basically in Nuke the Zeiss plate to SGI, which is a Silicon Graphic format that Nuke still renders. And so what I did was I scaled down the footage, because the footage is 8K, and I reduced it all the way to 1K so that I can load it. And so I loaded up from the network, reading it from the network, basically came into Media Illusion. This is Media Illusion. For those who don't know, Media Illusion was really, really important in the late 90s. You know, it came out in 97. Its last version was 2001. It was part of a lot of films used it. It was really expensive. It was like almost $25,000 when it came out. So it took me a long, long time to even understand how to even load the file. So it was a quite elaborate process of importing the SGI, because you can't just drag it in. You have to load it into the media, and then from the media center you can then convert and make proxies and actually play it back. And for that I needed to also be careful with the disk usage as well, because this Silicon Graphic is quite old, and so as you can see I only have 400 megs left on the OS. The network drive, as you can see here, has two terabytes free. And it's funny because it's so many megabytes that the number is even cropped. You can't even read the entire number. I know the machine has an extra drive inside, so that's my next step. This is a long-term project, by the way. After a while of actually going through the project settings and creating a project setting for full HD, which is quite impressive. We're talking about a software that is running in from the 2000s. This is HD in 2000. So I managed to load it, do my vault after a lot of errors, of course, and I managed to actually get it to play. And I'm going to try to play it back, but it's going to be really slow. As you can see, if I hit the play button, it takes a while. Now, this is just me scratching the surface. This was just a couple of days trying to figure this out. I've also looked into Matador. I've never seen Matador in my life, and so this was the first time I ever booted it up. So I opened Matador. I have no idea what I'm doing here. And so Matador looks cool as hell. Look at it. Just look at this interface. It's just amazing. So I managed to load up the footage, only load up one frame, started playing around with some of the tools, the masks and the blurs and the merges and the smudges. And I mean, I still need to really try to understand how this works, but it's a really snappy paint system, which was quite impressive. For something from, as you can see on the top there, it's from January 1999. So this is a software, a paint software that is 26 years old now, and I'm quite impressed with it because it's, man, I don't know, like it still has better paint tools than some softwares we know these days. Man, I wish I had this kind of paint tool inside of Nuke. I can say that out loud. But anyway, in my opinion, one of the coolest things about the Silicon Graphic O2 is actually its flexibility. It's very expandable. It's actually all split by sections. You can put different video cards, you can put sound cards. Of course, you have access to 2 hard drives, at least on this model. It's also really possible for you to remove the entire CPU section, including with the RAM. So it's really easy to switch the RAM, to upgrade, to actually put a PCI card that has 1 PCI slot. It's really user-friendly, and I wasn't expecting that for such an expensive machine, which is funny because these days everything is becoming more and more soldered and more not upgradable. It's actually quite refreshing to see how upgradable a machine like this is. So this main Silicon Graphic has 1 CPU, which is 300 megahertz, which is quite funny. That's less than a phone, less than my iPhone. And it has 256 megabytes of RAM, which at this time, this was really powerful. Yeah, but those are the settings of the computer. I've managed to get the SCSI drive to load up, so now I have 300 gigs of free space. I now have an actual quite fast SCSI drive internally, so I can load footage and I can learn. So hopefully it works well. That's my next phase. Then I started like looking around, and then I went to the filters. And it's just like Nuke. You see, you have all the typical things, the composite tools, the merge tools, the blur tools, the sharpening tools. It's actually quite cool. Media Illusion is always very much connected with Matador as well. And I know Matador at the time was, you know, we're talking about films, Jurassic Park and Forrest Gump and The Mask and Apollo 14 and Titanic and The Matrix, all the way to The Hulk in 2003. So this was this software, Matador, and also Media Illusion. I still need to find a list of films that used Media Illusion. I'm still researching. If any of you know of a film that was used with the software, please let me know on the comments, because I would love to mention that. But now that I have this all working, I have the network working, I can load files, I know my way around, it's time to boot up Media Illusion and do some compositing. To start compositing in Media Illusion, I decided to pick up some training footage from some old school tutorial books. In this case, this footage is from a tutorial from a book called Shake, and it's a book from the Apple training books. I don't know if you guys remember this, but Apple used to have professional training books. This specific book is from Marco Paolini. I love this book. This book was really good and really pivotal when I started moving from After Effects to Shake. Also, I picked these because they're from 2004. I know it's a few years later, but it's kind of the ballpark of when these machines were still around. So I loaded the layers for composite from this Citroën commercials, a very famous commercial from the time where the Citroën is a robot and he's dancing. And even though this machine only has 256 megs of RAM, not gigs, megs of RAM, it can still play back in real time from that RAM. And this is playing in HD. It is incredible. I can't play a very long sequence, of course. And compositing itself, it was like Nuke, really. A composite node, which is just like a merge node, is pretty much the same, although it has these kind of inputs for masks. It also reminds me a bit of Fusion as well. Funny enough, they also rendered the CG car in half res, a technique that we still use to this day. At least I still use it. And so I had to add a transform, so I had to go to the plugins. It took me a while again, but it was quite cool. Like, it's the same process, this node-based compositing. So the more I clicked around, the more I got familiar with it, and the more the knowledge of Shake and the knowledge of Nuke just kicked in. And automatically, after all these decades of using node compositing, it just clicked. By the way, speaking of plugins, do you see any familiar names here? Sapphire, Tinder, from the Foundry at the time, because I don't know if you know, but the Foundry started with plugins, which were called Tinder. They've been around for ages, these plugins. Some of them really famous, some of them not around anymore, but some of them are still here. And after some fiddling around, I have to admit, I was a bit lost sometimes. Here's my first ever composite on a Silicon Graphics. I felt like I was compositing my first shot in After Effects at the time, and now I'm compositing on a Silicon Graphics. Of course, I was very happy to do the first comp, but then I kind of thought, okay, let's make it a little bit more complex. I brought some of the other layers, and then I started like seeing what I could do. Can I maybe do some fog? Maybe can I do some depth of field? Maybe some color correction? And I really started having a lot of fun with this application. I was quite surprised at how similar to modern compositing applications it is. It's a bit slow, of course. It takes a while to preview, it takes a while to render, but man, still, I mean, it's only a few minutes to render a shot. I was truly impressed for how fast it actually was. And I did manage to do a fog as well, using the depth pass, using a bit of color correction, just like we usually do inside of Nuke. Here's me doing some fog, using the depth pass. Funnily enough, the depth pass was not included on the book. There was no depth pass, so I actually used Copycat here with Nuke to create a brand new depth pass, and actually worked really well. That's what I'm using to do the color correction, to fake the fog, and also to do the depth of field. Unfortunately, I was looking to do some depth of field with Sapphire, but the plugins are not licensed. Of course, this machine is 30 years old, so most likely the license ran out. But it still works. It still works. It's just that I have this kind of temporary watermark over the shot. And then I rendered. Look at this. Like, I can even have a CPU gauge to see how the render is going. I can have the RAM just to see how powerful it's all going. It's quite cool, actually. All these graphics, they look so nice and so 90s, but it's awesome as well. And there it is. That's the shot with some depth of field and some fog. And now, of course, I had a lot of fun with this Citroën commercial, but then I decided to go a bit further. So I picked up another shot from the same book for Marco, and in this case it was a tutorial that has some CG helicopters, it has a boat, it has some roto as well. A few more layers, and it has a flare as well. And it was great. I really had a lot of great time with this, because it's so similar to Fusion and Shake and Nuke. It's just that it's slow. You just have to get used to it. Like, it takes a while, you know. I guess you just have to get a coffee. You just have to get a coffee, a cold drink, while you're waiting for the previewing, because it's a bit, as you can see, it's a bit slow. Sometimes it plays in real time, sometimes it doesn't. It kind of really depends on the complexity of the shot, really. And I also think I should upgrade this machine with more RAM. It's expensive though. It's really expensive these days to get really old RAM, even on eBay. So it would cost a lot of money, which is funny. It's funny because it ends up now we pay a lot of money for RAM because of the RAM crisis because of the AI servers and all the AI companies. But old RAM is still expensive as well because of its rarity. So we're kind of like back in square one. Then I kind of thought, okay, what else can I do with this? Let's just bring in some more modern footage. So I brought in the BBC D-Love commercials that I supervised and composite at the mill. You know, this was like 10 years ago that I did these commercials. So I converted the files from EXR to SGI files, and I did the same thing as well. In this case, I didn't have to do keying because I had the rotoscoping done by the lovely folks at Trace VFX in India. So they already did the rotoscoping. Like at the time at the mill, we used to do this all the time. We had the roto already done. But it was crazy. It was so cool to actually composite and test the shot like this inside a Silicon Graphic. I was like, I was so happy. Although the shot is nothing special, it's just a few layers. It was like a discovery thing. I felt happy, and I felt like I was discovering something. Although it's really silly, isn't it? Because it's a 30-year-old computer. It's a 25-year-old software. No one is using it anymore. It's obsolete. It's not used. And so I am learning this, but it's pointless because it doesn't serve anything. But if you think about it, it's not that pointless because the bases of node compositing are still here. And so that means that you could learn compositing using software like this. It is possible. So yeah, I had a great time with this. And look at me, I'm already like doing a tutorial about this. But that's not the purpose of this video. Like the purpose of this video is not really doing a tutorial because there's no point of doing a tutorial for Media Illusion. I mean, what's the point? Although I've learned how to use it now. But unless a lot of people ask for one, I mean, if you guys leave a comment below that you would like to have a tutorial of how Media Illusion works, I'll do it because I'll have a lot of fun doing it. I'm really having fun experiencing obsolete software and things that don't really work anymore. But the fun part of it is for me to get into the mindset of artists at this time. Everything was a lot more hard work. Everything was more difficult because things were slower, and because it took longer, and because you had to preview things, you had to cache, you had to proxy everything. I kind of think that you had to make more decisions. You had to know what you were doing. You also perhaps had to experiment more because you didn't really knew what the result would be. So in a way, I kind of felt, I think that's why it's so exciting to use this, because I'm having the same feeling I had when I first started using After Effects, when I first started using Shake or Nuke. It's that kind of discovery phase that you're having. But anyway, never mind all of this conversation. I'm sorry, I'm getting carried away now, and because I'm truly excited by doing this. The whole point of this video is to show you the progress of me fiddling around with this machine. Now, if any of you know anything about Media Illusion or Matador, please contact me. I would love to know your stories and also which films you used it for, and I would love to mention that on the video. So stay tuned on my YouTube channel. I am going to make a lot more videos. I'm going to go deeper into these softwares and try a few more things, and also showcase the hardware as well. So this is just the first video. There'll be more videos with this computer and other Silicon Graphics computers that I have as well. I was so surprised at how similar Media Illusion is to Shake and Nuke. It's an incredible piece of software. It's almost 30 years old, and it seems like a contemporary tool. I guess it's the power of node compositing. Learning how to use an IRIX machine and compositing in Media Illusion has to be one of the highlights of my time on YouTube. I absolutely loved it. I've been meaning to start these videos for a very long time, and I can't wait to make more videos with the many other retro machines I have and software. It's a big collection. It's time to dust them off and show them to the world. Of course, I know Media Illusion is slow, but it can still do cool stuff, and it's a real shame it's gone, because if it existed today, I would definitely use it. These retro deep dives allow me to honor these wonderful machines, and more important, they provide a lot of perspective into the amazing creativity of the artists of this time. It's incredible what they've achieved with such rudimentary tech. Of course, in today's standards, of course, because back then, this was the best of the best. It was top of the line. I think it's important to look back, reflect, and learn from the past. I love history, and I definitely learned a lot with this experience. Anyway, if you've used one of these machines or some of this software, leave a comment below. I would love to know your journey. Share your Silicon Graphics story. I'll be back soon with another retro VFX video. Till next time, and don't forget to subscribe, it's free and it would really help my channel. I'll see you on the next video, have a great day and stay creative.